So, another question that I have had several times in the last month, having moved back to the UK, having um, met with people that have met my family for the first time, but also people that have known us in the past and we're reconnecting. And I've had this comment and I've had this curiosity a handful of times. How on earth have you managed to raise these children to be as they are right now? Sociable, warm, kind, generous, funny, open, relaxed, grounded, worldly wise teenagers. First of all, I love that feedback. That's like really encouraging and it's amazing. I don't take all the credit. I take some. Yeah, I do. But mostly, it's about a community of raising them, to be honest. And always my answer is the same, is that our children have been raised in community. They have been having an experience that I would say is the number one factor at the top of the charts as to how all of us have benefited and grown and become more well-rounded and more awake in ourselves. And what I would say is that is because we have had sharing circles very regularly with anyone that was with us, living with us or visiting us or passing by. we have participated and committed to having sharing circles. Sometimes that's just with 2 people, sometimes we've had 15, it really depends. And a sharing circle, I would say that discipline has been the fundamental factor about everything. It's kind of underpinned our values, our communication skills, our ability to hear each other, see each other, feel each other, work things out, celebrate life, clear out stuff, motivate stuff, be accountable for, take self-responsibility, get mirrors and reflections of ourselves. There's a lot of shadow work that happens. For a long period of our time together raising our children, we had one every single week. And also the people that we've been living with are from all over the world, from refugees to the privileged and everything in between. There really has been no set type of person, all cultures, all colours, shapes and sizes. And that also has been amazing for us, and especially for the children. So, how does a sharing circle work? Well, there are hundreds of different ways in which you could express your sharing circle. But how we have done it is that you'll normally have an object. We would have a pine cone, which actually is behind me, but say you have a drum, something that doesn't shake because that could be annoying. But you have an object and you go around the group and let me choose something a bit, object. And you're sitting in a circle of some description, depending on the environment that you're in. You get comfortable. And first of all, you need to agree the kind of rules of engagement so everyone's on the same page. So how we would set it out is that you always and only ever speak from the I. I feel, I notice, I want, I liked, I did, I went to, I hoped for. And if you ever wanted to talk about a person who is in the circle or a person who's out of the circle, you would use their full name and you wouldn't direct it at them. For example, you wouldn't say, when you said to me last week, you'd say, when Tom, well, you wouldn't look at them necessarily, you might do, but when Tom said to me last week, and this immediately takes away this kind of pointy finger and this sense that we're unsafe. That's a really important value. Another thing is we always want to have a circle that celebrates and that challenges. So it's not always a circle that's to sort out the shit. No, we want to be able to be human beings that can be full of gratitude and no assumption and no judgment. And we just come with that decision that we're there to learn and grow. And we're not there to teach and preach. When it's your turn, if you don't feel ready, or if you just don't feel able, you just sit with it, breathe, and pass it on. I remember my eldest daughter for a whole year once, she didn't speak. But the very fact that she was feeling everybody in our collective nervous system, which we can talk about in a minute, and she was listening and hearing and experiencing everyone, meant she always felt part of us. She always felt connected. And although she and in her own journey wasn't able to verbally share, she was energetically sharing, and that was very powerful. And I remember the circle where she took the cone and she started to speak. All of us in the room started crying, quietly and silently, but it was such a moment. And it's not that because the speaking is the breakthrough or the achievement, but it was just a powerful shift. So it is really important to come with the kind of right space, to sit in a circle when you're really highly triggered. Well, you need to acknowledge that maybe at first, or be responsible for doing some practice before you come to circle to shed the charge of that. The point of what I made earlier about the shared nervous system is a really important one. When we live together in community, you feel each other's nervous systems. You're impacted by each other's nervous systems. And so we have a responsibility to ourselves and to each other to do some work on it, to care for each other in that way. And so we do ask that people come with a maturity and an effort to get as grounded as they can, or be open enough for allowing us to help them get grounded. And that's a beautiful exchange. And the sharing circle can go on as long as it feels, how do we say this? As long as it feels activated, purposeful, nourishing, and important. There is something very, very special to hear, for example, my 9-year-old son, I mean, he's 11 now, but say when he was 9, beautiful, even with 8, 7, 6, beautiful sharing. And then to hear your 56-year-old in the same sharing, share their story and share what they're up. And it's always very present. One part of our sort of spirituality and what spirituality really means to us is about being fully present. Right here, right now. That ultimately is spirituality. It's about the practice of being fully and utterly present. And so to be in that moment where you had this age spectrum and cultural spectrum, and we were all one, is very precious. That's not to say that it's easy. I have been in so many circles where I've wanted to die inside, and I felt awkward, and I have felt frustrated, and I have thought, I can't be bothered with this. I don't want to put the work in. I don't want that person here in the circle, or, whatever. It's all come up. All the ugliness, all the mess, all the shit, it all comes up. But it comes up in a safe space. And it comes up with a commitment to stay and do. Even if you are just sitting silently and breathing through it and letting it pass by, you cannot go unchanged if you have been able to share that intimacy with a group. And I would say that has been the fundamental reason why my children are the way they are as young adults and early teens and teenagers. And I'm very glad that we have persevered, because there's been times where we've wanted to not bother, give up on it. We've had long gaps sometimes, and then you got to restart it. But I would say that in my partnership, in my parenting, and in my community experiences over the last 20 years, this sharing circle commitment has been, just incredible. And actually, if anyone's watching this that has sat in a sharing circle with us, if you've got any comment to make, bring it on. It might feel too vulnerable to do that, and there's no pressure to whatsoever. But if you want to make a comment that would encourage people and just share your experience of what it might have been like to be like that with us, then go for it. But if you want to know any more, get in touch directly.